Hello, and welcome to LIFEcast with Randy and Grace, LIFE, living in full expression. I don't know what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we're going to, yeah, you just said it.
I
Well,
know.
no, you didn't either.
No, I didn't.
We're going to talk
about not worrying.
Well, in today's crazy world, how do you not get, too out of sorts or worry too much or get too negative or whatever? I think it's an issue everybody faces today. I know it's kind of been hard for me because you hear so much and you don't know what's true, and it's just drives you nuts.
Well, I think, listen, we're living through this time, so we feel like it's particularly bad at this time. But I think if we look at the history of the world, there have been a lot of really, really bad times. That's a lot of history. It's a lot of history. I mean, plagues and wars and death and famine. I mean, we're not really so unusual right now.
And the wheels keep turning. So.
And another day comes. Absolutely. Don't worry. I know that's easy to say. Right. And, I hate that song. Don't worry, be happy. I have always hated that song. But
it is a lot easier said than done, though.
Yes, it is a lot easier. But so here's the thing. So regardless of what's playing out in the news, here's the most important thing. You have to be aware of your own heart. So listen, there are a lot of people that I disagree with. I don't know if you know that.
Duh.
That we all disagree with. Still, the thing is, what affects your heart? I mean, if you are in the middle of, having to make, I don't know, a decision, or in the midst of family issues, or in the midst of work issues, I think there is one truth that holds true, and that is to focus on everything that's negative around you does not help your heart.
Well, I like what you said about the heart, because today, you read about a lot of families that don't even talk to each other anymore because one's one side of the political spectrum, one's on the other. And, it's family. If you just listen to your heart, and, family's important, and don't let things like that get so upset, get in the way of the heart, things that are important, loving your family, etc. Well, one of the things I think you can do to help in today's world that I try to do is limit exposure. If you're watching, a certain show on TV, or you're listening to certain podcasts or whatever, don't keep on doing it. Limit your exposure, because in life, if you keep at something, it just kind of gets stronger and stronger. So one of the
things you focus on expands.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things you can do is try to limit your exposure. Don't watch the same things all the time. There are different points of view, and it was a lot of disagreements, but so limit the exposure if you can. Focus on other things, maybe some hobbies, do things that you enjoy, and don't just stay in the mindset of these people are good and these people are evil, and I watch it, and these people tell me that every day, so I feel stronger every day. So that doesn't help your situation, and that's what we're talking about, how to help ourselves get through this. The other thing is, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You'll have a saying for this, I'm sure. You have a saying for everything. It doesn't make, no, I forgot what I was going to say.
That was last week's program. We're not going back there.
Right.
Not going back there.
But here's what I was going to say. Senior moment. It doesn't make sense to worry too much or get upset over things you cannot control. That's just is so true. And people do that all the time. On politics, I have one vote. I can hardly control the state of the world or the United States in politics. So don't get overly upset on things that you really can't control. And I think we all tend to do that. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I would. And, opinions, like a good friend of ours always says, opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone's got one.
I heard it was a different body part, but I like your way a lot better.
The point is that, and to what you were saying, you cannot look at this microcosm constantly that's getting you upset and not continue to get upset. It doesn't mean, okay, I'm not saying you opt out of the world. I'm not
No.
saying, don't worry, be happy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is recognize what it is. If you can do something, do something. If you can be around people who can help you do something, do something. But don't just spout opinions so that what? So you get angrier? I mean, that's it. And I was thinking about protests and like I can't think of a protest that ended up in something.
Making a difference. Yeah, who knows?
I mean, okay, the revolution, but that was a lot more than a protest. But I don't know. I just think that when you're in the midst of something and you're only focused, it's just pouring gasoline on a fire that already exists. And how does that help your heart?
Well, the other thing I was going to say too is we don't know what we don't know, and
Yes.
so many people think they know the truth. They know what really happened. They really know what this person was thinking. They really know what made all of this stuff, and they don't know. None of us know. So to have opinions and to know what the truth is difficult. So I just be careful at not thinking that we know it all and we know what they're up to and they're bad and we're
Right.
good and God has a plan.
Don't worry. This is actually a scripture, Jeremiah.
That doesn't. When I say God has a plan, that doesn't mean you don't do anything.
No, it doesn't.
But it means what's going to happen is probably going to happen anyway, and so don't worry about what you can't control.
Okay, so this is where, for me, scripture is very important. My faith is very important. Do you know that in the Bible, it tells you 365 times, one time for each day of the year, not to fear, not to worry, it's going to be okay. Now, to your point, that doesn't mean we just opt out of life, but it gives me a hope that in the end, everything is going to be okay. Does that mean I'm going to have a peaceful life? No. Does that mean I broke my leg? Does that mean you're not going to have terrible, horrible accidents? No. It just means that when you can be able to look to the future, look to the brighter sides, it's helpful. If you have a bruise, a scab, right, and it starts to heal, and then you go back and peel it off. It starts to heal, and you go back and peel it off. That's what dwelling on all of the negative things around you is. It's peeling off a scab that wants to heal, but you won't let it heal because you keep going back to the original problem, and that does not help your heart. I can't say it any more succinctly.
Well, the other thing I try to do too is everybody has differences of opinions on everything, and I always will. Some like vanilla, some like chocolate. But I always like to go up to the highest level, like what can we agree on? And it used to be even easier than it is now. I think we could probably all agree that, although I wouldn't even agree that everybody feels this way, that basically Americans love America and want what's best for America. Now, they have different views on what's best for America, but you go to some common ground at least to start if you're going to talk to somebody, and try to find some common ground and listen to each other's opinions. And it's healthy to have some good dialogue. But today, what I find, and including with my daughter, which is very difficult because she's very opinionated, is try to listen to the other person. Try to not agree necessarily, but don't be thinking about what you're going to say while they're talking. Try to truly listen to the other person. Try to understand their views, because a lot of times you may not know where they're coming from due to emotion or whatever. So none of us are right all the time and are going to solve all this by ourselves. So I would say stay connected to people. not only people that you agree with, although that's a lot more fun, but try to stay connected to people. Have your friends, have a good time, get away from all this stuff, enjoy life, and realize that, we can't solve it.
Listen,
on our own.
the
Have a
truth.
good time.
Don't worry, be happy.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, enjoy your life.
Well, yes.
Yeah, life in full expression. Enjoy your life.
Right. I mean, I think it's the same thing, whether it's this particular angst or some other. I don't care if it's a marriage. I don't care if it's at work. I don't care if it's family issues. I don't care if it's political issues. When there is the ability to see that this is only a small portion of whatever the rest of your life is, and you can't let this small portion overrule everything else. And again, it doesn't matter. Chances are that you've learned in your marriage that you cannot go back, right? How many times people just won't let something go? So you think you've made up, but you keep going back to some nonsense that happened before. It's not healthy to do that. There's no way to heal when you do that. And to your point, what do you agree on? But this is foundational for people in the way that we deal with life. There has to be a foundational principle that you work your life around. So if your foundational principle is that you're angry all the time, then there's not going to be any healing. And we know people like that, where anger rules, because underneath there's this festering of stuff, and it comes out. We mentioned that I think in one of our talks. Whatever you're filled with, somebody bumps into you, it's gonna come out. You bump into this cup, coffee's coming out.
Well, you just made some good points. There's more to life than just, disagreeing with the way the world is. You're still here. Enjoy your life. Take care of yourself. The physical's important. Work out, be healthy, continue to take care of yourself. You don't take care of yourself, start worrying about your own health issues. Nothing else is going to seem so important anymore. So don't let it get to the point that it can affect your health. Do the healthy things and work out, like I said.
Well, and by the way, having this kind of angst that stays in your system actually will result in you physically not feeling well. And that's an absolute truth.
I personally believe, and like I said before, we don't know what the ultimate truth is, but I personally strongly believe that I personally strongly believe that stress, especially continued stress, is the worst thing for your health that you can possibly do. And you don't realize it when it's happening, and you don't even know the stress it puts you under until at some point the stress is eased or relieved sometimes or whatever. But stress, anger is the worst thing for your health. Yes. So let it go.
Because
let it go.
It interrupts everything else. We've talked about how sleep is important to your health. Well, if you're upset and anxious, you're not sleeping well.
That's why I don't like my puppy right now. The little terrorist will not let me sleep. He gets up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night. I'm ready to send him back. But you love him, so I'll try to hang on until he becomes an adult dog.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of which, there he goes. Right on cue. Was that on cue or what?
We've trained him for that, right? But yes. So again, and stress will interrupt how you eat and when you eat, which also affects your health. It will affect how you digest, which affects your health. So anger, bitterness, resentment, anxiety, when these things are recognized, it is important to release them, do something about them, and again, for me, I have a book that works. It's a wonderful book. It's called the Bible, and it helps me a lot.
And what is the expression you say for the Bible, the rules of life, or what do you say that the Bible stands for? I love that.
Oh, okay. Basic instructions, BI, before leaving Earth. Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I love that. There's some really good instructions on how to live a fulfilling life, a
Absolutely.
joyful life. It's great.
Absolutely. And remember, okay, so he used the word joy. Remember, joy is not the absence necessarily of sorrow or pain or anxiety, but what it is an ability to rise above it. And I just did my newsletter this month on, we know so many people who are just so upset because things have happened to them, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. We live in a very broken and fallen world, and illness comes, an accident comes, an argument comes, and negativity comes, and you have a choice, right? It is our responsibility. What does that word mean? It means, how do you respond to what's happening to you? And so if you respond with anger and bitterness, hatred, self-pity, that's what you receive. If you respond with compassion and kindness, and whether it's for yourself, understanding yourself, taking care of yourself, or others, helping them, loving them, that's what you receive.
Well, that's a
What
real
goes in, comes
that's
out.
a real axiom of life there.
Well, and
You
that's
receive,
exactly.
you receive in anything what you put out. If you put out anger, you'll get anger back. If you put out being a really nice, caring person, that's what people will give you back. That is so true. So
Right.
true.
And
So
that
you blame everybody else. When you have a certain attitude, you blame everybody else, and it's just coming back to you. So
right,
that's a very good, dear.
right. I mean, I think
No
also,
wonder I married you.
pray for me. But when bad things happen, I wish I could remember this whole story. If you respond in a negative way, more bad things happen. When decisions are made because you're angry or that you're bitter or you're fighting, those decisions are not good decisions, and they will come back to bite you. So yes, it's that story about good luck, bad luck. Who knows, right? The guy gets he gets kicked by a donkey, and bad luck.
Is that
Well,
like a donkey? A
yes,
donkey?
yes. He gets kicked. He goes into the hospital. Good news, good luck, bad luck. Who knows? But he goes into the hospital and he meets a nurse. Good luck, bad luck. Who knows? He meets the nurse. He marries the nurse. Good luck, bad luck. Who knows? Their marriage is wonderful. Good luck, bad luck. Who knows? So it all is about your responses to a particular situation. And that is what makes luck, if you want to talk about it. I used to say there is no such thing as luck. But these days, I like my little, anagrams. Luck, Lucky. Look up, Christ is keeping you. So I do believe in a certain kind of luck.
You have more anagrams than the military. And one other thing, we're not saying ignore everything in the world and don't feel it, because that's not going to help things either. We all get upset at things. Feel it, but then realize it's probably out of your control to change it immediately or at all. And feel it. But it's important to feel it, just like sorrow. Feel it, and then don't live there. Don't dwell
Right, don't
there.
live there.
Move on. Move on to things, good things. Think good, positive, that make your life wonderful and more joyful.
Right.
And
So
I think
some of
that-
the big things are out of your control, but the smaller things are in our control, and how we deal with them. You told the story once on one of our sessions about the gentleman who was looking for a new place to live. So this gentleman has his suitcase, and he's walking through town, and he sees an old man on the porch, and he says to him, "Hey, what's it like to live here?" And the old man looks at him and says, "Well, what was it like where you came from?" And he said, "Oh, it was terrible." He said, "It was terrible. The people were awful. Everybody was negative. They didn't treat me right. It was terrible." He says, "Well, keep going." He said, "Because that's just what what it's like here." A few days later, another guy comes along. He's also looking for a place to live. He sees the old man on the porch, and he says, "What's it like to live here? I'm looking for a new place to live." So that the old man says the same thing to him. what was it like where you came from? What was it like? And he says, well, he goes, it was so wonderful. I really didn't want to leave, but I had to. I had to relocate. He said the people there were wonderful. Everybody treated me so well. It was just a happy place to live. He said, that's what it's going to be like here. Why? Because of how you, whatever it is you have, however you respond is how it affects everyone all around you. So there you have it.
You told that a little better than I did. So we'll go back and erase the one I told.
I don't know. I mean, why do we do these podcasts? I hope that we can bring a little bit of a positive attitude to things, maybe some positive approaches to everyday problems. We all have them. We are all more alike than we are different. For those of us who are believers, we are spirits living in a temporary place. This world is broken, but we can join together and make things good. So, I hope that we get a little bit of that, and maybe in a moment when there is some focus on the negative, you'll pop up one of these, and one of us will say something that's funny that will make you laugh, or even maybe a little bit of positive advice that helps you through your day. But just to say that, please don't focus on the negative. Don't focus on a current situation that's such a small part of your entire life and future, and certainly be at peace with the people that you do love who are around you. I mean, focusing on the things that you share that are good and wonderful will help us get through.
And it will pay dividends.
It will pay dividends, and it will help us get through trying times. But also to remember that this is a small unit of time. Forever is a long time, and we're only on one little piece of it. So it's not the end of the world yet. So I don't know. Hopefully you will come back and visit with us again. I hope that we've offered some little bit of hope or happiness or joy or laughter, and we look forward to you. Question us too if there's something that came up that you'd like to ask us about. We'd love to hear from you. Have a very, very blessed week.
Bye-bye.